This video is in fact late. I was really busy, so I didn't have time to actually sit down and film this. So we're doing it now, right? Better late than never. I read quite a few books this month. I didn't read like 18 books like I did the previous 2 months, but personally, I believe that that's something really good. Because 18 books in a month, that's like a lot of books. So this month I decided to take it a bit like more relaxed, I guess. And I also was very busy towards the end of the month, so I didn't have that much time to read. Now that being said, I still read 10 books, which personally I think that that's like an amazing amount of books, and I'm really excited to talk about them. I have decided to do some stats in the beginning of the video because I think that it's kind of interesting, so I will have them somewhere in the screen. But the first book that I read was Pride and Premeditation by Tirza Price. This is a Jane Austen murder mystery, and it's about Lizzie Bennet, who is like an aspiring lawyer, but she's in a time where women cannot really become anything. Literally, they are just stay-at-home moms and just being social, I guess. But Lizzie's just like, no, I'm gonna become a lawyer, and this case pops up and she's like, I'm gonna figure it out. And there's like a side plot of romance, like very in the back of it, I guess. I started this book last year in October, I think. And then I never finished it. I put it down and then I never picked it up again. And this month I was like, I am sick and tired of having this being like in the middle of this book and not finishing it. So I actually ended up listening to the audiobook, and I will say the audiobook was definitely better than reading the book, if that makes any sense. It was definitely going by very fast, but I had a lot of issues with this book, which is so sad because I really wanted to love it. The language in this book is not something that I'm used to. Obviously it takes place in a different time period that I am used to reading, so it wasn't the easiest thing to comprehend. And then there was also other things, like there was a character that I suspected, so I was like, why is she not suspecting that person? I don't know, it didn't feel that fleshed out. And then even the ending felt kind of weird, kind of just like all over the place, honestly. So I didn't love it, but I would say if you want to read this book, please listen to the audiobook. I think that it was like a really good audiobook, especially compared to actually reading the book. And I ended up giving this 2.5 stars, which is not like, yeah, no, it's bad. It's definitely bad, but I'm glad that at least I have finished it, you know? It's not on my physical TBR anymore, and I don't have to think about it again. The next book was The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas, I'm not sure. This is the second book in the Spanish Love Deception. I did not like the Spanish Love Deception. I read The Long Game last month, I think, and I did like that book. It was fun. This was not for me. This is about Lena's best friend. Lena is like the main character in the first book, and Lena's cousin, I think. They end up being roommates. She's an author, so he offers to kind of help her get out of the rut that she's in and inspire her, kind of, I guess. So they end up kind of going on these fake dates, and it was cute originally, but then it felt so dragged out. It was weird because it's not like that long. Well, it is 400 pages, but it's still not that long. It felt like I was reading a 600-page book. It felt tiring. I felt like we were just doing the same things over and over again. I reached a point where I didn't care about them. And honestly, since the beginning of the book, I didn't care about them that much. I don't know why. I felt a disconnect from the characters. And then just continuing with the book, I just kept feeling more distant with the characters. The rating that I gave it was 2.75, but I'm thinking of bumping it down to 2.5. After that, things started to look up a tiny bit, and I read Chase Me by Tessa Bailey. This is the first book in the Broken Beautiful series. It's a trilogy. This is a very short book. I think that it's like around 260 pages. It's 250 pages. So I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for like a fun, easy, quick read. I really enjoyed it. This was very fun. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's not anything incredible, but at the same time, I think that it was really entertaining. It was very fast-paced. I read it so quickly. I was literally flying through it, and I think that that's what I needed in that time to not go into a reading slump. So I'm very happy that I picked this book up. So we have Roxy, which she wants to be like an actress, but she's struggling a bit with that. So she takes like a bunch of weird, I guess, side jobs to kind of obviously help her live her life. And in one of those jobs, she goes to this lawyer's house, dressed as a bunny, and sings to him about his one night stand. Like his one night stand sent her to sing to him about the time that they spent together. It was interesting. At first I wasn't sure how I would feel about it because, I mean, that sounds weird, right? But I was hooked. I really enjoyed it. She's kind of more so like hard to get and he's like obsessed with her, basically. Now, I will say, do not expect the most emotional like depth in this book. It is mostly like sexual attraction, let's be honest, but I did like how it was done. It's definitely spicy, but it was fun. It was like a no thoughts, just vibes kind of read, and I did actually really like it. And then I read the second book in that series, which is Need Me. Yeah, that was not good for me. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like it. It's a teacher and student kind of romance, and just by that, it's not an easy trope to do and do it right. And let's just say she did not do it right. The main male character kept calling our female main character, which is obviously his student, Lolita. I remember the first time that I read that, like that nickname, I guess, I was like, what? You know when like there's like the record scratch? Yeah, that was my brain. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, it's just, maybe it's like a one-time thing and then we're not gonna see it again. No, we definitely saw it again and again and again and again and again. And that was just weird. Even if you did the rest of the book amazingly well, just that nickname ruined the whole thing for me, and the rest of the book was not even that great. It was just sexual tension and attraction, but not in a good way. I don't know, it's just the whole book felt icky to me and I did not love it. So I ended up giving it 2 stars, and yeah, it was fast-paced, so that's something, but it was not good. And then on another note, I read The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is like one of the OG Book Talk books, and I am so happy that I finally read it, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Basically, this is about Kala, and she goes to Alaska and she tries to reconnect with her father, and there she meets Jonah, which is this pilot, very grumpy. They don't really have the best of relationships in the beginning, but throughout the book you see them kind of getting closer together and understanding each other a bit more. And also you see Kala and the relationship that she starts to form with her father. Yeah, this book was sad. I'm gonna be honest, I cried so many times in this book. I would definitely say that don't go into this being like, oh, it's gonna be like a grumpy ex-sunshine romance kind of situation. No, I wouldn't even categorize this as like a romance book. It definitely has a side plot of romance, but I think that we're gonna get more into the romance side of the story in the next book, which is also about the same characters. This one was mostly, I would say, Kala and her relationship with her father, and that was something that I really liked. In the beginning, I wasn't sure about it because we see her father being very, very, very distant, and also Kala is not a likable character in the beginning of the book. She's very kind of standoffish and materialistic, I guess, but that created like amazing character development by the end of the book, and I really did like the small town of Alaska that they live in. I really liked the writing. It was so easy to read, and it was so, it really did an amazing job of putting you in the story, and that's something that I really, really loved, and I cannot wait to read the next books in this series. Then I read The Fake Up by Justin Myers, and the only good thing that I have to say about this book is that the cover is cute. Now, that being said, the cover has nothing to do with the inside of the book. Like, the book started kind of like weird, I guess, and then I was reading it and going through it and I was like, what is happening? We had like, this was so weird. Both of the 2 main characters were unlikable. I did not like a single thing about them. And also, I feel like I don't understand the point of this book. Because picking this book up, I thought that it was a romance. It's not. I would say that it's literary fiction, and in my opinion, not a good one. Basically, we have Dylan and Flo, and they are together, but they are like, he is a struggling actor and she's a struggling singer, and then something happens, they end up breaking up and going their separate ways. And then once they break up, out of nowhere, she becomes like a huge singer and he becomes a huge actor, and they just try to make the relationship work in secret. And I was reading that and I was like, okay. This felt a lot more like a character study, so just if you do want to pick this one up, just know that it's not a romance by any means. Like, the romance of this book was not it. You will not like the two characters together. Like, you will not. There's so many things going on in this book that I don't feel good about, and I don't want to read about. It wasn't easy to read. I hated the writing style of it. I hated the characters. I hated just the storyline. I hated the ending. I hated the just everything was bad about it. I don't have a single positive thing to say about this book except that the cover is cute. I ended up giving it 1 star. If I could give it 0 stars, I would. But yeah, we're not gonna talk more about that book. I literally cannot wait to just hide it somewhere in my bookshelf and never think about it again. Then I read A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Kana. I don't know how to pronounce that. This was so good. This is kind of like friends to enemies to lovers, and it was done so well. This is about Camilla and Liam, and they used to be best friends. They live pretty close to each other, and their grandparents are also best friends, so their families are kind of very close to each other, I guess, kind of. But something happened like a long time ago, and they just, after that, they fell apart and they haven't been the same ever since. And then something happens and they have to pretend that they are together. And not just pretend that they're together, but also pretend that they're engaged and eventually get married. So it's like fake marriage of convenience, kind of, fake dating, obviously. And it was so fun. I really, really liked the characters, especially Liam. I think that the mental health that we saw in Liam, like the mental health representation, was done really, really well. And I love the characters. I loved the families. I loved the issues that it dealt with. I loved the plot. I loved just everything. I really, really liked it, and I'm so excited that it's a series. This was one of the most entertaining books that I have ever read, and I gave it 4 stars. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a rom-com with some more serious topics, but not done in a very depressing way. Then I read Love Square by Lara Jane Williams. I have had this on my physical TBR for so long, and I have not picked it up because, well, I don't know why. It's about a love square, and that did not sound that interesting to me. But a couple of years ago, I read a Lara Jane Williams novella, and I really, really liked it. So I was like, oh, I want to read like a full novel from this author. So I picked this one up, and I ended up reading it, obviously, in this month. Finally, this is not so much of a romance. I would say that it's, again, kind of like literary fiction, with kind of like a character study, I guess. We have our female main character, Penny. She has like her own coffee shop, and through that she meets a guy, but then she has to move, so there she meets another guy, and then after that she meets another guy, so she ends up being between 3 different guys. And I didn't love it. It was entertaining, but I didn't really love the subject of it. I didn't love Penny as a main character. But that being said, this felt like I was talking with like a friend that, you know, like the friend that you give advice to but never listens to you. This felt like I was talking with that friend, and she was telling me about like her life and what is happening and how she's trying to figure it out and all of that stuff. So it was very fun to read, but it wasn't my favorite by any means, but it was entertaining. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, maybe give it a chance. I am very glad that I have finally read it. I give it 3 stars. Then I read Love at First Bite by Anna E. Collins. I really liked it. This book is about Danny and Wyatt, and Danny was in a relationship with this guy. Well, they were not just in a relationship, they were engaged, but then they break up, and Danny ends up wanting to build a house with 2 of her friends, I guess, in order to spite him. But obviously, in order to build a house, you need an architect. And that architect is Wyatt, so they end up spending time together and all of that stuff. It was fun. I really did like it. I will say, it was a tiny bit frustrating to me, the back and forth with these 2 characters. It felt very annoying. I will say, I didn't love our female main character. I feel like she was so stuck in that one idea that she had that she really just did not see that many things around her, and then there were so many things throughout the book that she would do, and I was like, what? Why are we doing that? I don't understand. I really liked Wyatt and kind of his character and his personality. I think that he was very sweet, I guess, and I did really like it as a book. I would say that it's more so like a romantic comedy, So if you're looking for that, I would recommend this book. And I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. And then the last book that I read this month was probably my favorite from this month, I want to say. Well, my second favorite. And that is How to Honeymoon Alone by Olivia Hale. This book came out last year and I was very interested in it because we have Eden and Philip. Eden was supposed to be on her honeymoon with her husband, but something happens and they end up not getting married. They actually end up breaking up. So she's like, you know what? I always wanted to go to Hawaii. I think that's like the place that the honeymoon takes place, I think. So why not go alone? So she ends up going to her honeymoon alone, and there she meets Philip. I love this book. It was so good. I loved how from the first kind of chapter we get straight into the story, especially as a person that finds pretty hard to just stay focused in the beginning of the books, because usually there's like kind of like the build up, or not the build up, kind of like the build up of the world, of the connection of the characters, all of that stuff. So having a book that goes straight into the story was incredible for me. This was so funny. I laughed so many times. I love the vibes of it. It was a perfect summer romance. I loved the two characters. I loved how they connected with each other and how they talked with each other, and like just everything. I feel like it was done so well, and it's not like a huge book, but at the same time I feel like the author did an amazing job of putting a lot of things in there without being overwhelming and without being like a 500-page book. I highly recommend it, especially for summer. I think that it's an amazing book to read by the beach, or if you're going to like a tropical vacation. I think that it would be amazing to bring this book with you. I ended up giving it 4.25. I will say I wish that the ending kind of portion of the book was kind of different. Didn't feel as good as the rest of the book. I wish that it was a tiny bit better, but that's okay. We cannot have everything in this life. So yeah, those are the 10 books that I read this month. I am really excited because I got 6 books out of my physical TBR, which is amazing. And yeah, I had some very bad reads. I did have 3 very good ones, so that's pretty good. I'm hoping that May is gonna be better, like rating wise. I'm gonna be honest, so far it's not looking great, but you know, I'm gonna hope for the best. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope that you liked this video, and I hope that I will see you in my next one. Bye!